So it's the 11th anniversary of 9/11. And I was watching Mike Rivero on Republic Broadcasting on the internet. I like him. He seems to know what's going on. Except for a few things that I disagree with him on. And one of those is, which came up today, he's talking about 9/11. He mentioned the Pentagon, where he thinks people who think that a missile hit the Pentagon and not a plane, he thinks those people are shills. I think that's way out of line. Now, I think it was, I don't see any evidence that it was an airplane, and if you check out the video of what they show skipping across the lawn, there's no way that was a plane. But anyways, his logic is that because the media points to this theory that it was a missile, they point to that as crazy, and therefore it discredits the whole movement. That's why he thinks anybody who pushes the missile idea is a shill, because it discredits the whole movement. But I see that's faulty logic in my opinion. You shouldn't base your opinion about whether it was a plane or a missile on what the media says. You got your logic backwards. You know, work from the evidence and see what that points to. Never mind what the media says. You know they're gonna lie to you. That's like people who say to me, "What's the reason for 9/11? If you believe 9/11 was an inside job, what was their motive?" Well, I don't need to know their motive in order to see something's wrong. So I think people work backwards trying to figure this stuff out. Oh, I need to know every little detail of why they wanted to do it before I can believe it. Prosecutors don't work that way. They supposedly, hopefully, look at the evidence first and then throw the motive in after. And that's what I try to do, but I'm not an expert and I don't know what really happened. I just have my opinion, that's all. So Mike's question was, I almost forgot this. What is the point of, say it was some type of weapon hitting the Pentagon instead of an airplane? He's saying, well, what's the point of having a weapon hit it and not the airplane, you know, with the passengers in it? You know, that's a good question, but it's kind of silly to me to pretend, because I don't know the answer to that question, that it should be ruled out. First, let the evidence dictate what is most likely, and then try and fit the other stuff together. So, no, I don't know why. My guess would be that it probably takes some type of special structural integrity, you know, and passenger aircraft don't have that type of integrity to make those type of aerial maneuvers. There's that, and then there's the ones that hit the Trade Center. I personally think would have to have at least missiles or some type of charges or something extra added to it in order to even penetrate that. I personally don't see an airplane made of aluminum just making a big hole in solid steel. I don't see that. So that's why, at least for those two, I think it had to be some type of weapon substituting for the airplane. And the same technically with the Pentagon. I mean, that Pentagon is one tough bugger. I don't think an airplane is going to make much of a dent. It had to be something that could penetrate, and an airplane, I'm sorry, go ahead and fly an airplane into the other side of the Pentagon and let's see what happens. I'm all for it. Go for it. Let's do a test. So Mike Rivero took some heat from his little chat room. They're like, what? You think that was an airplane? And stuff like that. I mean, to me, the hole in the Pentagon is too small. What happened to the engines? There's lots of things. And, it's been a long time since I looked at the evidence, so I'm just going to say I'm not 100% sure, but that's my guess. And either way, I wouldn't call someone a shill if someone thought it was an airplane. Okay? They maybe seen some different evidence than I did, but I'm not going to go call them a shill. And the other thing that I disagree with Mike Rivero about is he seems to think, and lots of people do, that the president and, any other candidate for president is actually out there trying to win the office of the presidency, when I personally believe that they're not just puppets. No. Working and they're corrupt, working for corporate interests, whatever. That's a puppet, yeah. But I say they're just plain actors playing out a role. And so Obama's not, actively campaigning, hoping and, scheming, and I'm going to start a war here and I'm not going to start a war there because it'll affect my candidacy, my campaign. To see Mike Rivero saying this sort of stuff, that's surprising, but that's the majority opinion, so, I shouldn't be freaked out by that. I say they're not only puppets, they're actors working for the same people, playing out a role. One of them's meant to win and one of them's meant to lose. Either way, if they can't fudge the numbers enough, they'll have their man in, so it's not really a big deal. But I think they want to go with Romney this time, just so everybody gives the president another 4 years. Because if he went with Obama, everybody knows that he's not following through on his promises. There's no hope and there's no change. We already know it. He's Bush light or dark or whatever. We know that. So they got to flip. So everybody gives the new guy a chance. That's how they string you along. Just like the Fed's stringing us along. The Federal Reserve. Oh, Ben Bernanke, stringing us along. I'm going to do quantitative easing. And then, the market's all antsy. Ooh, yay. Meanwhile, a lot of people, and I agree with them, think him just promising to do quantitative easing is more effective than if he actually did it, because there's evidence pointing that the last 2 times really was a net negative for the economy. So to do it again and to fail miserably and more obviously, and then be completely out of bullets, he doesn't even have the threat of doing it again because it would have failed. So he gets more of a bang out of just saying he's going to do it than he would if he actually did it. So we'll see. I don't think it's coming up sometime this week. I'm not a big follower of the Fed and his opinions and blah, blah, blah. Mike Rivero also seems to think that Israel is in control of or petitions our government, and I'm of the opinion that Great Britain, Canada, the United States, Israel for sure and Australia are all one big hub, one big intelligence hub, and they talk smack in between each other, but that's all for show. They all get the same agenda. And whether they all work for whether they will work for Rome, I have no idea, but I think they're all linked together somehow. So Obama is not, he's never going to let Israel down. That's all part of the act, in my opinion, yeah. That's all part of the act. And, you know, they gotta have some reason for people to flip over to Romney, right? Oh, he loves Israel, you know. Lots of Christians love Israel. There you go. And that's the reason. They gotta have that sort of thing, that dynamic in there. Otherwise, it can't be a coin flip. They gotta there has to be some differential between the two in order for them to get their guy in, you know, their appointed guy in, newly appointed. So even that Israel stuff is all a game. Okay, take it easy.
Whatever, white people.
Oh man, these mosquitoes are ridiculous.